Chapter 36 to 37, Unexpected. Surprised at the sight, the pirates quickly grabbed their weapons. "You! Who are you? Are you responsible for this?" shouted the pirate at the front. Suddenly, all the pirates made way for their captain as he moved forward. "Sigh, the hostages we had so painstakingly captured. Captain, he killed all of them. That son of a bitch." Although you might think that this type of pirates had lost their humanity completely, some of them still valued camaraderie. Boom. The captain punched his crew member in the stomach. The man fell to the ground, clutching at his stomach as he fell. Saliva and some blood poured from his mouth. "Shut up. Weakness deserves punishment. Useless trash doesn't deserve to live." He turned to look at the lying man. "If you continue to be so weak, perhaps you will be the next one." It gave most of them goosebumps, but that soon faded. After all, they didn't want to suffer the same fate. Sigh, another psychopath. Pride thought as he watched the events unfold. The captain turned to his first mate. "What do you think?" "Hee. I like his dedication to art. He is certainly worthy." "Tierreaka. That's right, now that you mention it." Then he glanced over at Pride. "What do you think? Would you like to join our crew?" The rest of the crew was at a loss to understand what their captain was thinking. Why should he recruit the man who was responsible for the massacre? After all, it was their own crew that was lying lifeless on the ground. Pride took a closer look at him. A villain straight out of a fairy tale book. Henchmen eliminated? Recruit the one responsible. Psychopathic traits? Absolutely present. Overly confident? Plenty with that attitude. The captain was in his 40s. He had black hair of medium length, black eyes, and was roughly 2 meters tall. With outstretched arms and a beaming smile, he warmly invited Pride to join him. A no never crossed his mind. Who could turn down such a generous offer? After all, the man responsible for the massacre was also a cold-blooded killer. Pride's right eyebrow arched up. He gave the captain a wry look. "I will pass. Who knows? Maybe you will be the next one to leave this earth for good." Trha. His laughter faded. He frowned, his expression growing more serious by the second. "Your loss," he exclaimed. "Men, you know what to do." "Aye aye, Captain," the crew members shouted. With the exception of 2 people, everyone was marching in the direction of Pride. With their weapons raised, their footsteps echoed in unison. One got the impression that it was a stampede. They seemed furious. Some of them kept talking while marching. "There will be a price for your actions." Meanwhile, Pride had to chuckle. "Except for the 2 who stayed behind, the rest are weak. Pathetically weak, to be exact. It's not often that I get to fight pirates and unleash my bestial side. I think I should enjoy it and get more practical experience out of it." They descended upon Pride like hyenas. Sword thrust after sword thrust followed, but he was skillful in avoiding them. With well-coordinated timing, to the left and to the right, they missed him by only a few millimeters. Armament hockey will not be necessary against them. When the first line missed him, the second line was on the attack. Further attacks followed. This time they were from axe-wielders, or those who did not use a weapon at all. Pride dodged them once more, but this time he struck back. Each dodge was followed by a blow to the face or a punch to the stomach. Like stones that had been thrown away, they flew off into the distance. "They are too weak. This is useless." Boom. With blinding speed, he moved from one enemy to the next, striking them hard in the solar plexus. The only sound was their screams as they were catapulted away. The captain was impressed with Pride. He seemed to be strong, but nothing that worried him. "Tierreaka, you really have potential. Do you really want to waste it all by dying? Join me, and all this will be a thing of the past." Grinning wide and holding out his hand, he finished speaking. "No, never mind. You can insert this hand rectally into your first mate." Kobe, make him suffer for what he said." You don't have to tell me twice," Kobe said, stretching his arms out and walking over to Pride. Kobe grinned broadly. He was now standing only a few meters away from Pride. "This one is noticeably stronger than the rest of them. Doesn't look like he's using any weapons." Pride thought as he examined him. Boom. He was closing in on Pride with remarkable speed. Whoosh, whoosh. Blow after blow followed, but Pride masterfully sidestepped them. He clenched his fist and punched the vice captain in the stomach. Zish. The pirate slid back a few meters. Anticipating the strike, he crossed his arms, trying to minimize the damage. Not bad. There was a lot of power behind the whole thing. His smile faded away. "Let's take it to a higher level." Boom. Pride was a bit surprised. It is not visible, but this is certainly armament hockey. Pride once again was under attack. Without activating his own, he resisted. The exchange of blows created loud noises. This time, Pride was pushed back. Does hockey multiply strength by such an immense amount? Even at the lowest stage, or why am I the one who gets pushed back in this fight? Or is he just physically strong himself? Pride looked first at Kobe, then at the captain. How can someone unknown from Paradise use hockey? I've never heard of them before. Unless they're from the New World. No, they'd never have any chance of survival there. If he can use it, I'm curious to see what the captain is capable of. Kobe saw his chance and attacked once more. Only a few centimeters separated Kobe from Pride. Pride's sight. An incomplete hockey user is of no use to me either. Whoosh. Pride turned his head slightly sideways. Kobe's right fist flew past his face. Before Kobe had a chance to react, a black-covered fist slammed into his stomach. Boom. He was flung away at a terrifying speed. He even passed the captain. The captain looked behind him. His first mate was in sight. On his stomach was a fist bump visible. Blood was pouring from his mouth, and he was unconscious. TRHAHA, now you've really pissed me off. You have potential. I admit that, but you caused me a lot of work, and I must make you pay for that. He stomped towards Pride, looking angry as he spoke. The latter had a grin on his face. He was glad to have met someone strong. Someone who might even make him sweat a little. Haha, I wish I had your confidence, I really do. Pride said, laughing. This may have hit a sore spot. After that, he was no longer interested in talking. He immediately went on a rampage against Pride. Boom. He is fast, was Pride's thought. The captain had no hesitation. Cloaking himself in armament hockey, he attacked Pride, and blow after blow followed. One blow after the other was exchanged. As a result, the ground cracked and trees snapped. He is in no way comparable to the rest of his group. His hockey is also by no means weak. Is Paradise teeming with hockey users? Swash. Pride dodged another blow and stepped back slightly. It's definitely worth trying. Pride closed his eyes in response. I need to feel it even more. Further than just an intuition of the next step. Then he went into a complete state of introspection. He focused on nothing else, and so his concentration reached its maximum. Assault upon assault followed. Pride always evaded them. The pirate captain always seemed to be one step behind. And it went on like this for a couple of minutes. That's enough, he shouted angrily. Boom. The ground was in tatters from the sudden change in weight. Because he was changing one part at a time. He was a devil fruit user. He retained his human form. But with each passing second, he staggered into a higher dimension. Fangs emerged. His entire body was now covered in dark yellow fur with black spots. There were many more small details, but these were the main characteristics. He turned into a hybrid, a mixture of both traits. Part human, part beast. Pride opened his eyes briefly. He saw that the enemy had completed its transformation. Now he was huge, and his frame was much wider than before. He is now significantly stronger. Upon closer examination, he found the shape to be familiar to him. Isn't that the cat fruit model leopard? The Zoan fruit that Rob Lucci is going to own in the distant future. One that belongs to the weakest of the Zoan varieties. Rob Lucci, on the other hand, had enormous talent. He was able to show that it's not the devil fruit that matters, but how the user uses it. He really managed to get the utmost out of the fruit. After Pride had cleared his thoughts, he closed his eyes again. The captain was furious beyond belief. You are not surprised, which means you know about the devil fruits. His eyes had literally turned a crimson red. But disrespecting me and closing your eyes, and not taking me seriously, you will pay for it. For a moment, Pride was stunned. He is capable of using armament hockey, but does not know that I am focusing on my observation hockey with my eyes closed. It was like someone switched on the light. His mouth slowly turned into an O shape. Wait. There is only one explanation for that. He knows nothing about hockey and its types. He probably acquired armament hockey intuitively, as a response to an emergency. And then he refined it further. Boom. He approached Pride with explosive force. Pride continued to rely on his intuition and instinct. However, his assessment of his opponent's speed was slightly off. This caused him to be delayed in predicting what would happen, and the result was a blow to his stomach. Pride was blasted away, taking a few trees with him. TRHAHA. Serves you right. He couldn't dodge the blow, but he was still able to coat the affected area with armament hockey. TRK. He freed himself from the loose tree fragments that had been lying on him and stood up. One more time. I know I can do it better. Seeing Pride arising was quite a surprise to the captain. It was definitely a direct hit, or so he thought. Personally, he wouldn't want to take a hit like that. How could his opponent shrug it off so easily? Boom. Once more, he rushed at Pride. With a tremendous amount of speed, he pounded on him. Pride still had faith in his observation hockey. However, the opponent's speed increased too greatly. Pride could predict about 3 strikes when the captain had already struck 5. As a result, he began to suffer more and more from the attacks. He sustained several more punch combinations and flashed off again. Asterisk boom asterisk. Again, Pride ended up very far away. Once again, he managed to free himself from the debris and got back on his feet. This time he opened his eyes and used his right hand to wipe away the blood, that was dripping from the corners of his mouth. Concentrating, he looked at the hybrid creature, which made a loud rumbling sound every time it got closer to him. Sigh. I haven't made any progress, even after being in a situation like that, and taking a lot of hits. It's just a theory of mine, but I think that the lack of progress is due to the fact that I have roughly matched my strength to that of the opponent. I probably need to be in a really life-threatening situation to progress quickly. Pretending to be in such a situation is not very beneficial. With a broad grin, the beast approached Pride. Pride chuckled. Then he released his conqueror's haki, and a pitch-black radiance spread out. The beast was also affected. The sudden attack caught it off guard. He staggered for a moment, but he held on to the ground with one hand. And in no time, he was able to endure the brunt of the impact and regain his composure. "Are you also a devil fruit user?" he asked in bewilderment. Gesturing with his forefinger, Pride replied, smiling. "Come over here. Maybe you'll find out. Rhea, I'm going to torment you to death." Boom. He was accelerating even more. With tremendous momentum, he approached Pride again. 6 meters. 5 meters. 4 meters. Swoosh. A purple orb shot out of Pride. There were only a few meters between them. But before the beast had a chance to grab hold of anything, he was violently pushed to the ground. Somehow he managed to resist it, but it took him by surprise, and he lost his composure and momentum for a moment. As a result, he was struck in the stomach with a fist, coated in armament haki. Before he realized it, he was almost 50 meters away. There was an obvious clenched fist imprint on its belly. Blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. The strike was so sudden that he didn't even have time to protect himself. Many things went through his mind as he lay beneath the rubble. What has happened? What kind of power was that? It has been a long time since I have felt such pain. Can I actually beat him? It feels like he's toying with me. Should I run away? Wouldn't that be better? I can always reassemble a crew. But if I die, I'll be dead for all eternity. It was as silent as death. Only Pride's footsteps were audible. Only a few meters separated the two. The beast had decided. Swoosh. Just as he was about to make his escape, it felt as if a ton of weight was bearing down on him. With every ounce of strength he could muster, he braced himself. Pride unsheathed his sword. Tengaku no Shikiri. Swash. Swash. He executed 2 side slashes with exceptional swiftness. Approaching the beast were 2 purple flying slashes. That was his gravity slash, an attack he had learned, but rarely used. In fact, it was a very powerful and efficient attack. Rah! The captain was hit. He instinctively let out a cry. The special thing about his gravity slash was that when there was physical contact, the attack pressed on the affected area. And as it was his body, he felt immense pain. Agony, as the cut in his body, causing his internal organs to be squeezed together. A true technique of torture. This is the first time Pride has used this attack against a human being. He is far from weak. I have a feeling that a fight between him and Luffy, who has just finished his training under Rayleigh, would be quite close. Apart from Gear 4, that is. Pride was now standing in front of him. The beast remained on all fours, supporting itself with its forearms. It was bleeding and covered in wounds. It glared at him with blood-red eyes, filled with hatred. Sigh, poor guy. Unfortunately, he hasn't managed to hone his armament haki that much yet. Under stress or panic, he can't activate it as easily, I guess. Why else would he have been so defenseless when I hit him with my slashes? Pride thought as he raised his sword. The sword descended. You little bastard. I hope that you and all your kin will rot in hell for all etern dash. Thud. His head tumbled to the floor before he could finish his sentence. Don't worry. I will join you in hell when I die.